Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. Finally, we have reached the very last DLC for Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. It has been years of joy and incredible content, but all good things must come to an end, and Owlcat has announced that this DLC will be their very last content update. But it looks like they're going to go out with a bang. So the DLC is called A Dance of Mask, and it's going to take you back to Kenabris, which is the first city that you visit in the game and where the adventure starts. Most of this adventure is going to center around you reconnecting with your party members, reconnecting with loved ones, experiencing cool party-like scenes within the DLC, but there will be some villainy. You'll be able to visit an enemy stronghold. So there is, of course, going to be some combat involved. There's also going to be an arena where you'll be able to challenge mythic enemies. And in fact, one of the scenes shown in the new trailer that you've been seeing in the background is of a mask golem, which we never fought against in the standard game. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of mechanics it might potentially have. Now, let me provide you with some more information that we have regarding what's going to be in this DLC. So one of the main changes here that those of you who have played other Owlcat games before might be very interested in is that this will be their first DLC that is fully voice acted. All of the new dialogue is going to have a voice, which also means, you guessed it, everybody's favorite little dragon, Avu, is finally going to have her very own voice. And it'll be fascinating to see what direction they go for that. So when I live stream this game, once the DLC comes out, I'm absolutely going to play Azada first so we can all experience her voice together. Should be a really cool experience. Another thing that comes out with this DLC that I'm sure many people will be interested in is that we're going to get 11 new character archetypes. As if this game didn't already have enough class options, they're going to throw on some more. Now, the 11 are going to specifically be chosen from base classes that were not touched in the Through the Ashes DLC. So, to be more specific, we're going to get new archetypes for Arcanist, Bard, Fighter, Inquisitor, Kineticist, Magus, Monk, Ranger, Skald, Slayer, and War Priest. What those specific archetypes will be is anyone's guess, but really excited. I think Owlcat has done an incredible job of making the vast majority of archetypes they've released very interesting, very compelling, and it's always a hard choice trying to figure out what class or combination of classes I am going to play. Now, they also mentioned way before the trailer for this DLC was released that the content was going to be based a lot around the Citadel DLC. And anyone who was a fan of Mass Effect, of course, knows what I'm talking about. Citadel was the very last DLC released for the Mass Effect series, and it almost wholly centered around your companions. It was about connecting with them, getting an idea of what kind of lives they were going to lead in the future, and it was kind of just one last hurrah that focused on what was undoubtedly the strongest part of that experience. And so Owlcat wants to do something similar, give you a DLC that's going to allow you to reconnect with all of those amazing party members that you've developed relationships with over the course of the game. All of the romanceable companions will also receive a new romantic event. So for all you Arushale fans, Camarilla, all of those different people, you'll have an opportunity to connect with them again. They also noted that Queen Galfrey will get a scene as well. For those who are not aware, it is possible to romance her depending on the choices you make in the game and what mythic path you have taken. There will not be new romance content for Narticular or the other characters who are more so flings as opposed to fully fleshed out romances. This DLC starts in Act 5, and Owlcat stated that some of the major story beats have to have already completed before you'll get the pop-up saying that this can start. So your characters will be fully leveled, you have all of your romances in place. Basically, everything should be pretty much already decided before you get into this, which should make it very interesting to experience for some of the more evil-centered playthroughs. The trailer shows a little bit of Swarm content, which is hilarious to me because if you're playing in Swarm, who the hell are you celebrating with? But I'm definitely going to check it out and see. Looking forward to experiencing that and seeing what Lich is like as well. Do you end up celebrating with a bunch of undead and vampires and things of that nature? There's a lot of really cool ways they can go with this, depending upon what path you've taken. And I'm curious to see what the reactivity is going to be like. And then the last major change that they announced is that this DLC will also provide a new weapon mode. So now when you're holding a weapon, you'll be able to switch between one-handed or two-handed, which is very, very interesting. I can't remember the name of this sword for the life of me, but there's a really cool sword that you can repeatedly upgrade throughout the game, but it's one-handed. And I always felt like Sela might be losing a little bit of her damage by using that. But if I'm able to wield it two-handed and get all the damage I can from it, that would be super, super cool. And give me just yet another reason why I would want to do a full playthrough of the game once again. So that's everything that they officially announced, but there is one more little tidbit that could be interesting. On the Reddit, they asked about content for some of the paths that are considered to be weaker compared to other paths, specifically Devil and Gold Dragon. And the community manager, Stark, actually responded and said that there might be some interesting things that help address those concerns in the free patch upgrade that's going to be paired with this DLC. What that content actually will be, I have no idea, but it's interesting that at least it appears they're going to try to do something to help shore those up a little bit. From a mechanic standpoint, Gold Dragon is fantastic, but the story content definitely is kind of lacking compared to the other ones. And in my opinion, Devil is lacking all the way around. I don't think it's impressive mechanically or story-wise. What is there story-wise is fun and it's cool, but there's just not enough of it. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with those two paths and if there's any other content for the other paths that you'll go through. It'll also be interesting to see if Avu only has a voice for this new DLC or if they actually add some voice content for her in some of the other main areas of the game. It's definitely striking considering how much dialogue she has that she just never has a voice. So it would be really cool at the very least during some of those major Azada story beats if she ended up having a voice. But more than likely Owlcat won't do that because one of the things they mentioned is they're curious what the feedback is going to be from this. They want to see how their fan base reacts to having content that is fully voiced. And believe it or not, there are a lot of people who don't like voices on their characters, who prefer to just imagine the voice themselves. But I think after seeing the incredible success of Baldur's Gate 3, it's making a lot of developers who make content for RPGs or CRPGs realize that there's also a massive audience of people who absolutely love for their characters to have voices and who feel like it makes those characters more appealing. I'm someone who kind of sits in both sides. I love being able to voice act the characters myself, but I also love hearing a really, really nice voice that adds some layers to a character. So it'll be interesting to see what Owlcat has come up with. And then the very last thing that I'll mention, which isn't related to this DLC, but it was mentioned as part of the conversation regarding this DLC, is that Owlcat is planning another massive rebalance patch for Rogue Trader and is going to come out shortly before the first DLC for Rogue Trader is released. So they absolutely plan to continue making more updates to that game updating the way in which those mechanics work, and we'll see whether or not those changes are well received. That's all the information that I have right now regarding Owlcat's new updates. I think this is super, super, super exciting. I'm pretty much convinced to do another playthrough of Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. Between all the new archetypes that I haven't had an opportunity to check out, some of the new mythic options, the patch rebalances, I'm really curious to see what the patch that's going to be released with this upcoming DLC, what it's going to do, what sort of rebalances are going to come with that. I think it's a great time once this new DLC comes out to dive in. Speaking of which, this DLC will be released on June 13th. I will have a Steam page down below where you can look at more information regarding the DLC. And yeah, let me know down in the comments, what are you all's thoughts? Is this going to be enough for you to dive back in? Are you excited about it? And where do you hope Owlcat goes next, now that it looks like they're coming to the end of their run with Wrath of the Righteous? Do you want them to do their own thing similar to what Larian is doing? Or would you prefer to see them try to tackle another Pathfinder game? Really looking forward to the perspective from the community, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.